Hello, good people of the universe. My name is Emmanuel, and I'm saying this too early, but yes. How you doing? And I trust you're doing very, very good. And you're in Africa, you're Nigeria, and I'm sure you're seeing a lot of awesome things, a lot of things to keep your mind and brain very, very, very active. But before we go on, I would like to tell you this fun fact. Do you know that in a few years, the planet Earth will no longer have a moon? Yes. In 2 million years' time, you will no longer see the moon.
Did you just got 2 million few?
How old is this Earth?
My name is Ogheneruemu, by the way. Did you just got 200 million few?
And with me, Ogheneruemu. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So with me on the studio, Ogheneruemu.
Chimgochim, I guess.
Then you can see them, Gracious and Ome, behind the scenes.
And
of course, Bolu is also here. Yes, he has been away the whole week. An important mission for the company, and he's back. Don't worry, you see him next week eventually. So, yeah, what were you asking me?
You called 200 million.
2 million years.
2 million years.
Yes.
Few.
Yeah, it's not for me to worry about.
I'm not saying
it's not even for like you know how many generations. Like,
why is that start important?
It's just a fun fact. What would that means in 2 million years?
Why is it even a fun fact?
Why? Do you know the moon is very, very important to the ecosystem of the Earth?
But like, why are we concerned about when the moon would just like it to give up on you guys?
Yes, it's important.
Well,
stop being
party pooper.
Kilo
It's supposed to be a fun.
It's a fun fact.
Fun.
Really? Okay. You know what? Let's move on to the stories of today. So today we have a lot of interesting stories, right, that are totally not about the moon, so that Tim does not complain. But yeah, and I will urge you to wait to the end because we're going to be addressing some of your comments we've been seeing. Just wait, and I'm sure there are a lot of interesting things. I mean, you guys have been giving us back to back, so let's start addressing them on the podcast. Yeah, Gracious decided to bring up the idea, and we decided to run with it. Then for today, we're going to be talking about Elon Musk. What else? 54 Jane. Talking about NITDA and AWS in Lagos, Nigeria. So just keep your eyes peeled on the channel. So first things first, Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Yes. I mean, we've heard that story so many times and everybody was tired of it.
Everybody's tired of it.
Yeah.
Why?
You mean the back and forth before he eventually bought it.
So he bought Twitter, but I think the most important part of his purchase of Twitter, as I can see here, it's
the monetization.
The monetization plan to get a verification badge, which has been evading a lot of us Africans. And I'm not going to even mince words. A lot of people who should be verified are not verified. Like, I look at their profile sometimes and I'm like, why is this person not verified yet?
Especially when you even apply for verification.
So,
and you meet all the criteria.
For journalists, for instance, you meet all the criteria for verification.
And then they reply you 3 hours later and tell you that you didn't.
They even
these days they don't even reply again.
They don't even reply.
The last application I made.
How was that?
It's over a month now.
Oh, okay. Mine was like maybe a month or two.
They
replied me instantly. Like, get out.
Yes, we applied. We've been applying since 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
So their requirements are pretty straightforward, right? Mm-hmm. You work for a verified news organization. Techpoint .dotng is verified. You have a byline on that references your Twitter username. It's there. You have what they call it again. You've written at least a number of stories in the last 6 months. You put it there. Yet nothing. A founder like that has co-founded like 3 startups or 2 startups that are doing really, really well, not verified. Developer that has built a very, very, very big community in Nigeria and even Africa, not verified. An investor with very, very huge impact, so far so good, not verified.
But that is changing, and now you can get it with your money.
And it doesn't make it feels.
Anyways, the interesting part of this is that when Elon Musk started this
when he started hawking the idea.
Yes, when he started hawking, it was $20. Right, I was like,
now they've priced it down to $8.
Yes, it's interesting. I love to see the conversation. I think Stephen King and some other people, the one that I saw, like a millionaire trying to push for free speech, now telling you to pay for it.
So
it's laugh.
No, you're not really paying for free speech. You're just paying for
added services. It's not telling you can't tweet again.
So what's funny to me is it just looks like Baba is he's doing everything he has at trying to make money that he has lost. And this is a lesson.
Purchase.
Yes. This is a lesson for anybody that is a businessman or that ever has to part money. Don't do more than yourself, as we say in Nigeria. Because he could have easily start out the whole mess. Someone said he bought, so he got locked into a contract. It was 40 billion, Abi. And since that initial announcement that took Twitter stock so high, it has actually crashed to almost to heights it was before he announced it. Now, he has a social media or a social network that has struggled with making profit at the time that major social media companies are also struggling with revenues. Twitter hasn't really made much money compared to what a lot of people expected to do since it was founded. And now he's saddled with the responsibility of doing it. So it just feels like from everything he has been doing, he's sacking people. I don't think he's sacking them because he thinks he wants to operate a more agile organization.
You need to save costs. That's what you say.
Yeah. So if you sack 300 people who are on an average of $70,000 dollars every year, then you would be saving a huge amount of money. But it will make a dent. So let's say you're targeting extra revenues of 300 million. You sack, let me do the quick math. You sack 300 people, for example. Who are
300 people, 70K. That's like 21 million.
21 million. So you are still a very far cry. Now, how many users would be willing and able to pay $8? Let's assume.
Or keep at it for months.
For months.
For a whole year.
So let's do $8 for how many users? Let's say 20 million users are willing to pay that. That's
$8 for every month.
For every month in a year. So the average user, sorry, I'm doing calculations on camera, but
like $96 in a year per users.
$96 for 20 million people is significant money, 520 million. But can you get 20 million Twitter users to pay? And then it now begs the question.
You'll be surprised. Think about it. Has LinkedIn stayed relevant over the years? You can call LinkedIn all you want. You can insult the people there all you want. But LinkedIn is still relevant. You can't deny it.
Yeah.
And there's LinkedIn Premium, isn't it? Good. So, yeah.
How many people are paying for that?
I can't exactly tell. But I feel like LinkedIn has been quiet.
The value. I think maybe,
and then look at the value.
Maybe there are more added values. The blue tick, if it carries more added value, that's
maybe you can now say if you pay
you
for Twitter Blue, you automatically get verified. But it also begs the question: why do people want to be verified?
Just so that people can trust them, or they have a sense of credibility.
That now means that anybody
that's
who
what
can
I was trying to say.
Yes.
Anyone who affords $8 a month
can do it.
And by the time
credible,
and when the person becomes credible, by the time they call your bluff 1 or 2 times, people will know your true color now. But now people will start questioning the blue tick before.
Because before there was something about it. You saw a blue tick and you're like, okay, this person is someone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're not someone if you don't have the blue tick, but like you're viewed as more credible if you had the blue tick. But without the blue tick now,
we'll see where we'll go from here, though.
Good. Let's leave Elon Musk. We spend too much time on him. As a planet, we spend too much time fixated on Elon Musk.
Too much time.
Well, he's always putting himself in our faces.
Nah, he didn't put himself in your face. Now you want to use Twitter. You're the one that wants to use Twitter. He's not forcing you to use it.
You are using Twitter
I've
before
been using Twitter before he came now. Why will he come and poop on it?
You guys Twitter users. Come on, let's leave this issue. So, yes, there's a quick follow-up we want to do on 54 Gen. What's going on there? So
last week it was us talking about why a C-suit official is leaving like 2 in a very short time. This week is 54 Gen laying off 100, right? 100 of his staff, that's like 55% of his entire workforce. And within a year after it laid off 95 workers. That was around August last year. And yeah, here we are again talking about layoffs and reasons for it. But I think they mentioned it when announcing the exit of the CEO, right? Last week. So we heard that it's losing 100 of its workers. We don't know if this has to do with it closing down it. Was the COVID-19 testing? What's it called? Arrangement from before. But I think this is a lot. Losing 100 of your staff is a lot. But some of the staff are reportedly saying that they've not given them their severance packages. And the leadership are just being irresponsible. That is why the business is where it is today. It is not us to judge.
Okay, so there's so many things I want to say, but I'm going to limit it to one. Like I said last week, so far so good. 54 Gene's value proposition is awesome, but I fail to see the business case, the original value proposition of Genium sequencing, right? I have not been able to see how this can make money in the next few years. It's a very, very long-term game,
exactly.
Right? And Seven River Labs, the testing diagnostic platform, COVID made it make sense, but now that COVID-19 tests are no longer much of a thing like before, I don't know. Seven River Labs, then of course, and what they are doing costs a lot of money. There's research, there's equipment they need to buy, there's expertise that they need to have that you probably not find in Nigeria. So many things, and I feel
it's really capital intensive, and maybe I don't know. Giving in the name of startup is what I had issue with, right? We've argued this in the editorial room, but I don't want us to bring it here. But
you need to set a date and time to have that discussion.
54 Gene taking the name of startup for what they are building is something that will take you years, right? Something that will take you years to overcome the cultural sentiment that Africans have towards you, analyzing them, talk less of you, knowing, telling them that in the future this is what will kill you, or this is what killed your parents, or this is what we can give you to prevent what killed your parents. You have to do a lot of research for that. But which are Africans open to that, right? Giving themselves as lab rats in quotes, right?
So I'm thinking,
test them.
You'll be shocked to what Africans can do for just small change.
Yes,
2,000 naira to donate blood that time in Benin when you are broke in Uniben. So don't worry, they would donate themselves.
But I'm just saying that it's something that will take a long time. What they are doing, I love it. Like I can imagine how the future would be, right? When they have a breakthrough with what they are doing, but it's not something that will take a short time, right? But it's okay that they had to come in for come through for Nigerians during the COVID-19 pandemic and NITDA. But I think that their diagnostic platform will still work very well.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say that because
diagnostics,
they don't need to restrict themselves to just COVID. Although maybe, I don't know how it works, but maybe the equipment for COVID is entirely different for like every other diagnostics. I think they can.
Equipment.
Yeah. So if COVID made them a lot of money, then they can decide that, okay, we're not just focusing on COVID. Let's have this side hustle that keeps the lights on and just build out diagnostic centers across the country, or as much as they can handle, and then grow gradually. Keeps the lights on. They may not need to hurry to investors every few months for extra money, and they continue the initial game. Also, I don't know how expensive genome sequencing is, so I don't know if having a diagnostic side also or a diagnostic arm would be able to sustain it. So I want to believe they are considering everything possible, because yes, you started out this way, but there really isn't a need for you to remain that way. If this isn't working, it's perfectly okay for you to wake up one morning
and pivot or something.
Yeah, so That may be a way for them to stay alive in the short term and continue working towards their goals. So,
Well, we're wishing them the best, though. Right.
you all will be
We're
fine.
wishing them the best.
Yeah, wish them the best. But let's talk about Amazon. That why some companies are staying alive, they are expanding AWS like crazy.
Business has to continue, right?
So life is happening to a lot of people. But the show is going on, right?
Yes, it's going on.
So AWS has it's. I got to know about their entry into Lagos a few weeks ago rather. Time is flying. I'm not so sure, but but what I'm finding interesting is what does this mean? If AWS has launched a Lagos office, what does it mean for us in Nigeria, for Nigerian businesses, and for the average person in tech, or for the average person who wants to get into tech?
So, what does it mean, right? I think I remember a friend who was trying to learn cloud engineering, and there was an issue he raised that when you're learning something like cloud engineering, to get a place that you probably intend and be able to get enough hands-on experience might be difficult.
Person is all school, right?
Yes. It might be difficult in a place like Nigeria because cloud services are offered by tech giants, offered by foreign companies.
And few companies are also leveraging the cloud.
Cloud, because you can just hinge it on whichever of maybe from Google or Amazon, and you move on with your life and start paying them in dollars for this. But them having an office in Nigeria, right? I think one of the way that it might be useful is to give people that are looking to go into cloud engineering a platform.
Okay, here's the problem with that.
Okay.
When companies like this have expanded to Nigeria, historically, they don't bring the engineering side. They bring their sales and marketing and customer service. They bring the business side, the business development side of things. So think about it this way. Journalists, let's say Techpoint, for instance, the way it was last year, the journalists were in Ife and the business people in Lagos, striking the deals, connecting with people, securing event venues and all of that. So I'm thinking this might be a similar case. Google has an office in Nigeria, but I sincerely doubt they have an engineering team. They built...
They might have developer team, like a community, a developer community.
They are not working for Google, it's a developer community.
Yes, at least it's an affiliation that probably gives you a sense of belonging in a way.
Okay.
Belonging and
another thing is, I think, accessibility too, right? We've heard of how reaching the customer care line for Amazon or reaching out to them whenever you have an issue using AWS can be a task. Maybe this will address that.
So for AWS, for instance, after offering you basic support, for you to get anything extra, you have to pay extra.
You can go to their office in Lagos and walk in.
You can go to the office and do what's there. Have you been to the office?
I'm just saying, like the fact that they now have an office in Lagos, you can walk in and probably maybe to expedite whatever it is you are trying to ask them
until
for.
they tell you we would like to refer back to our headquarters for your issues.
Yeah, but I think
Standard response, yeah,
gives most of the time. But for me, I think most of the issues you can actually tackle it. But for companies that want to use AWS in Nigeria, for businesses, does having an office in Nigeria and AWS in this instance, does it mean you can now pay for AWS cloud services with Naira? Because dollar is an issue. Murphy made sure of that. Not just Murphy.
Murphy, Godwin Emefiele, the governor of CBN,
Okay.
the back of Nigeria.
Yes, so hope you take note of that, please. So, but the fact that accessing dollar right now for most companies is part of an issue, especially if you are not earning in dollars. Nigeria is your primary market. You are making all your money in Naira. But you have to pay for web hosting. You have to pay for your domain name. You have to pay for everything that has to do with your website or your app. Then if you decide to be using AWS, you have to be paying them in dollars. And to run a single instance in AWS, even if the instance is idle, it could start charging you in dollars. So does an office in Lagos mean that? So I have it on good authority that no, there is no plan to put start billing companies in naira yet. But I talked with one of the executives, and they were like, they will keep working with all the regulators. It sounds very funny, but they'll keep working with the regulators to make sure, because apparently he mentioned that the dollar scarcity is not just in Nigeria. It's the EU, the euro is falling to the dollar. So they've been caused in Europe too to start billing people in Europe and euros. Same thing with pound sterling. Then I think even Google Cloud too, that just launched in South Africa and offer the services to Nigerians. I also talked about this same issue with them, and it was a similar response. We'll work with regulators to make sure things are happening. But I see Amazon Prime already charges in naira. So Amazon Prime, although it's a different division, completely different dimension under Amazon, but I think we can make it work. Amazon Prime, Uber, the Netflix. I think Netflix was very, very recent.
YouTube Music, YouTube Premium.
YouTube. Are you sure YouTube Premium is debit? I'm not sure of that yet. I'm not sure. Maybe Spotify is debit in naira, but the fact that a lot of people are finding it difficult to pay for Amazon, I think they should be very, very particular about that. But I think it's an interesting one. A lot of companies can now leverage the beauty of the cloud and blah blah blah. But yeah, that's
we're hoping that, you know, when you have like a country manager for a foreign company, these are some of the things they will push for.
Will now push for,
right? So I think it's a step in a good direction that they have an office in Nigeria. They were able to understand the terrain well and see what we need. Right, maybe when plenty people walk into their office, even if they say that they will connect with the headquarters, they will still at least see many black faces in their offices requesting for things.
Yeah. I think Nigerian people that are working with them will be the ones to push for this. But when they say they are working with regulators, why I said I find it funny is because of our next story, NITDA. Next story, NITDA. Hope no issues. Oh, yes.
You don't want us to use this studio next week, Abby.
All right, guys. So we're going to be talking about regulators, because I find it very, very, very important that companies say they're engaging with regulators, because that's what you're going to find out after we take this message from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Abisola Adenoga, the head of business at Techpoint Africa. Did you know that you could present yourself as a reputable brand leader? Did you know that your business can get the limelight it deserves? Now you do. Using Techpoint Africa's marketing tools, we can put you in the faces of a large audience for brand awareness and thought leadership. To do this, reach out to us by sending an email to business@techpoint.africa or click on the link in the description below.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Techpoint Africa Podcast, and still here with Nifemi and Chungozirim. So we're talking about NITDA. NITDA apparently signed the NITDA Code of Practice very, very quietly. The Minister of Communications and the Digital Economy, Dr. Issa Pantami, and the DG of NITDA, Nigeria's Information Technology Development Agency, Kashifun Inuwa, they signed the NITDA Code of Practice. Now, what is the NITDA Code of Practice? It's a very, very, very nice little piece of it's not a legislation, it's a regulation. It's a regulatory document that came out a few months ago, and there were a lot of backlash.
Precious isn't here.
Backlash. Okay. let's go with backlash.
Okay, there was some backlash when it came. I think that works. Good. So what was the backlash? Number one, for social media companies, for internet-based companies, that's what they called it. In the document, what did they call it exactly? The English they used is computer service platforms and internet intermediary. So if you don't understand that English, it's basically talking about social media platforms, your Facebook, your Twitter, LinkedIn, then of course
anything, even foreign payments platforms, video on demand platforms.
Yes, all of them. Then even does he apply to us?
Let's not answer that question.
Okay,
before they reason us.
Yeah. I was surprised they didn't send it to us. So, but apparently, what that law contains is if the government and a relevant agency sends a message to, say, Twitter to take down a content they consider unlawful, Twitter has 24 hours to take it down.
To agree, because they are operating in that
Elon
country.
Musk, how far? Imagine a battle between Elon Musk and the Nigerian government.
To be funny. Very, very funny. Premium bands.
I would pay $1.
It's not even, aside from that, if they request that we want you to send us this information that is supposed to be private to
The company.
from the user, if they ask you to send it as a company, you are supposed to submit it.
Yes.
I'm getting infringement on information rights vibes.
Don't worry. That's just the tip. Another one is saying, upon request, the social media platform or the platform is expected to submit assistance to the relevant agency to tackle investigations of cybercrime.
Sorry, come again. Submit assistance.
And
They have to provide information on any other form of assistance to investigate issues of cybercrime in the country.
that sounds good.
Basically, they are now outsourcing investigation.
It's not assessing.
Like
They're
they're
just
for
looking for
intel.
any help they can get.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
intelligence.
they're basically asking these guys to come and help you do your job.
No, now they are just helping. It's different.
But you're helping me do my job. You're still helping me do your job.
So all the ones that we're mentioning now has to do with the users.
Yeah.
The companies also have
Oh,
they
yeah,
have to do from their end.
Yeah, I'm getting there. But finally, from the time of the users, there should be. They're saying this social media platform should create a dedicated channel for submission of requests. So like just like a Slack group or something. Yeah, Slack, Google Chats, WhatsApp group.
Or
Yes.
Telegram,
Anyone.
Shall not use email because they know you'll not see it.
Then the companies now are expected to file an annual compliance report. They need to, let me list them out. The number of registered users, they file it. The number of active registered users. The number of closed and deactivated accounts. The number of removed content with and without notice or court order.
That's to pay taxes too.
Oh yeah, there's that
Forget
too.
that.
Number of contents put back without notice. Then they are to, by mandate, large service platforms are mandated to incorporate in Nigeria. They are to pay taxes. Then they are to appoint country representatives to serve as a communication channel between the government and the platform provider. Does it make sense? Amazon office.
Yes,
Okay.
as it were. Because even if they don't have an office, as long as they are rendering digital services to people in that country, they are bound by this.
Good. So if you don't comply, you'll be seen as breaching the provisions of the NITDA Act of 2007. So the NITDA Act of 2007. Oh, it was recently amended, but as if it's signed on me. That new NITDA bill, did they sign it? They didn't sign it, didn't they? They didn't. But what was supposed to be in that NITDA bill was like an update to what was in the NITDA Act of 2007, which nobody even knew or cared about. But they wanted to try and give NITDA more powers to actually enforce the provisions of the NITDA Act 2007. So this thing is already in Nigeria's legal system. So I got to know of this a few weeks ago, that they sent this message already to
These large
companies, and they've been given ultimatum to comply very, very quietly.
Do we know the ultimatum? Like when the ultimatum?
How long they have to?
Should I mention it? Yes, December. They have to December.
And if they don't,
So countdown. Today is
You just that's the way you heard Akon sued Meta. That kind of thing. So it's not like
as long as they want to keep serving the people in the country.
exactly. So it's not like that was the I don't think that was the first time Meta was hearing about it. It's just that maybe they sent it to Meta. Meta didn't. Who are these guys? They're not suing them. Whatever is going on, but yeah, very true. Cool.
They did not see the email. You put today you send missing email. They did not see the email.
Okay, so but why should you care about this? This is just like the Uganda Computer Misuse Act.
Yes, why should you care? Because most of these things, if you look at them holistically, they are to make these digital services usage like easy
and responsible
and for the users, and to also promote the responsible use of them. Aside from the fact that why should you be looking for info? What if I chatted with somebody, I had a chat with somebody in the DM, and you're asking Twitter to come and give you what I chatted about in the
you're
DM?
conspiring against your country. Why?
No, so what if in the process they now in the process of getting that information,
you're gonna see your
they now
nude.
find not even your nude. I mean, nude is everywhere, but they'll now find out that you're cheating on your babe. And then,
but seriously, those things, that part, I don't agree.
You
with
never know
it.
where to go from.
The
there.
ones that you put on your timeline is still understandable, right? Maybe you put it and you delete it. They can help you to retrieve that. But why should you request for information
People
from
now
my
be doing,
DM?
hey, hi there. So we can't have this conversation over Twitter. Can we meet up?
Can we do night post?
But that, aside from that, right? Every other thing is supposed to make users safe while using these platforms.
All those things I just mentioned now, what is going to make me safe there?
Well, when there's a license with the government, right? If there's any breach on, I'm not looking at you. If there's any breach on terms of usage, like you can address, you can. God, don't look at me. I'm not trying to defend this, but at least you can approach.
We just listed everything here just now. What is going to help me and keep me safe?
At least the fact that the tech company can be held accountable by the government. There's a license between the government and that company, right? So if there's any breach in terms of usage, right, you can be able to approach that license. I'm just saying, I'm not a government representative yet today.
Because how do you go from, okay, I'm just one of, let's say, 30 million Nigerians or so who use Facebook, and then something happens to me and I need them to take it down. So how do I go from, like, okay, just imagine 1% of the number of Nigerians who use Facebook, because that's the one most people use apart from WhatsApp. Imagine them all going to report to anybody's. No, not even the license officer. I guess you don't have a direct contact with the license officer. It's probably going to be government is even an intermediary now. So let's say Emmanuel's inbox that will be sending all those messages to. So I send it to Emmanuel's inbox. He now has to send it to Facebook. I mean,
how long the process? Okay, so aside from
because there's a human element
trying to look for how useful this would be, there's also the fact that no matter how useful yes, we'll round off now. We'll move on to the next thing. Sorry.
The bad that you don't give them.
I did not give them bad. I am trying not to lose your own gaze while I'm trying to tell them what I want to say. So what I'm trying to say is that no matter how good a law looks, right, when it falls into the wrong ground,
let's start with no matter how bad it looks.
No, wait, no matter how good it looks, right? Okay. If it falls into the wrong hands, it will be exploited, right? And we've seen that over and over in African countries, especially Asia and African countries, right? When they turn the law to suit whatever they want to do, especially when they feel the citizens are going against their law, or they are trying to request,
getting out of hand.
Yes, they just shut down the internet, for instance, or make it throttle, or just make people to be shut out of the world, the rest of the world, so that you can punish them for something. So it's something that is common to African and Asian countries.
Not equal.
So yes, so that is the vibe we get most of the time when we see these bills.
Okay, so yeah, listen very, very attentively and make sure you engage with the relevant parties to be able to nip these things in the bud. We can't have an innovative legislation like the Startup Act being signed into law, then we now have the NITDA Code of Practice. It doesn't, it's like you're carrying fire and water. into the same hand. It doesn't make any sense, right? So, and for those who think we are still joking, and those who think Nigeria is joking, they are not. Just remember that Nigeria just got re-elected into the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union. That's, you may have never heard of that before, but that's like one of the most important agencies in the world today right now, because the realm of digital and technology, that is the company, that is the agency, the UN agency that regulates the realm of digital and technology. In the past, it used to be just telephone and telegraph, but now it's the entire internet. And you know how powerful the internet is. And Nigeria just got re-elected into a council with the ITU. And guess what? China, Russia have been pushing for a new internet protocol that would remove control of the internet from the hands of corporations like Google and Facebook and Amazon to the government. So the government has supreme control. It's a model that has worked well in China. China has supreme control. Companies like Huawei or Techno or Infinix can't just misbehave.
And
Alibaba. If you do anyhow, you see anyhow. So if you don't want that kind of future for Nigeria, I guess you should start taking stuff like this very, very seriously. Don't think they are joking. They are not. Take stuff like this very, very seriously. And it's very close to 2023 elections. You don't want your tweets to disappear immediately after you tweet it. You don't want to start saying information that was doctored for you by a government. So, yeah. On that note, there are innovative things that are happening, like the Startup Act 2022. And we're going to even be talking about it at the FinTech Summit 2022, holding at 4 Points by Sheraton on November 26. The FinTech Summit is brought to you by our headline sponsor, One Liquidity. And head over to fintech.techpoint.africa right now to grab your ticket. And if you are on Twitter, you're going to be seeing some buzz, some people like Muiwa, Dewale, Dora, Nodo. They're already helping us sell our markets, basically. But yeah, head over to fintech.techpoint.africa and you're going to see a lot of interesting opportunities to network, to learn new stuff, and gain a lot of knowledge and insight. So, right, quickly, SmallSmall. I was actually thinking of skipping this topic because I don't want to go over this again. But what is happening with SmallSmall? Why are they pivoting? And what did they raise money for? What lie did they tell people?
It's not me that will say that one. But the company formerly known as Rent SmallSmall they're now calling themselves SmallSmall. And then they recently raised $3 million to solve the housing problem in Nigeria.
Is that what they said with their mouth?
Did
they say that with their mouth?
Let's calm down.
Did they say that?
I don't know if they said it with their mouth.
Okay. Not with their mouth.
They are solving
the press release.
Yeah, they are solving I didn't even see the press release. I saw it on TechCrunch. But they are solving the housing problem, and they are solving one part of the housing problem, or maybe even more than one part. So they have 3 different products. One is Rent SmallSmall, which helps you rent spaces like the one we know. So you just rent usual rent, like you rent your house or you rent anything you want to rent. But yeah, that's it. They also provide rent financing. So that's the one I am most interested in. But they also have something that I think is interesting. So you want to get the house or you want to get a property. So they help you finance that as well. So it's not just rent financing that they are financing. They also help you to do that. But something, so they can help you finance your real estate purchases. But something that's interesting to me is that they are working with developers. So if a new unit comes out, then they help you get that. So basically, this is the second PropTech startup in Nigeria that is playing in that financing space that has raised money in the last, I think, 3 months. Split raised money a few months ago. So that's the gist. Why I am a bit skeptical. So in the last 2 days, I've been looking at the whole financing, asset financing in Nigeria, and looking at whether startups can even
scale it.
Not even scale. They can scale, but at what cost, and how many people could they possibly get? So we've talked about auto check before. So I looked at it, and we need to have a different conversation. But price of a car on an Instagram vendor's page, for example, and auto check, the difference is almost like times 2. In many cases, it's actually times 2. I checked other people, and it's the same thing. Like Cars 45, Better Car, it's the same thing. Now you get you get auto financing from them. They have a lot of partners, so the rates you pay could differ depending on the partner you go with. But I saw that some of the partners they use are banks, some of them are lesser known financial institutions. But you get different rates depending on what you take, and the interest rates are they are massive. So let's use the example of a car that costs you 3 million naira. You could be, by the time you're done, you could be paying about 4 million to 4.5 million for financing. Now it's fair. It's fair because for an asset like that. But here's where I have issues. The costs, and I still need to be very, very certain. The cost compared to a car dealer who is an auto check seems to actually be about 150%. So the car is actually 1.5 million, not the 3 million that is advertised. So
but do you have the money?
Now that's the issue. So they are providing you with the financing
And
right?
still increasing the
cost.
base cost.
Because what they expect is that you're able to spread this payment over a
It makes sense when you are charging high interest, right? They've charged the high interest.
But the prices are
original
higher.
price.
So if you mark up maybe 20%, so for something like a car, I don't know if a 1% markup would be a big deal. Okay, let's say you mark up 10, 15%. I won't have an issue. But you do a 100% markup.
Oh, I
then
see.
I think that's.
So how does this relate to SmallSmall? Is it the same high interest rate?
A lot of people have complained that. So here's first thing, the building plans. I clicked on the link and I went there. It said coming soon. I don't know when it's coming, but it looks like that website is still being developed. And a lot of people have heard a lot of complaints that splits offerings are also not for the regular people. So it's not just about.
That is why we have the
now.
issue with solving Nigeria's housing problem.
No. So I'm not even looking at the housing problem alone. I think they can solve it. So to a very large extent, it's easier to give me money to pay rent than it is to give me money to go buy a car. You get? So if you give me money to pay rent, you are not likely going to take although you can do it, but I still think it's easier. So rent, how much? For most people in Lagos, not all of us live in Lekki, so most of us would probably pay between 200,000 naira to, let's say, 900,000 naira for rent.
Where are you seeing a house of 200,000?
Some people are paying. Some people have. I know someone who rented the house for 250. And
can you just give us a rate? Because you just said Lekki. Lekki is just one part of Lagos. So mainland is very, very broad.
Yeah. Some people on
Maryland, GRA.
No, you won't get houses of 200k. You may not get. I can't say for sure, but you may not get.
You will get, just that you can't stay inside.
Okay. So I'm just using that as like the lower end, between 200 and 900. Okay. So I think it's easier to give out loans for that. But in a situation where I have to like take a car, it will be difficult for you to get a car of 200k. If you get it, it's 200k problem, sure. But that's serious. But my problem here is Nigeria's interest rates is very, very high. We've talked about some of the reasons why it's high. So considering that the interest rate, and now to be fair to the businesses doing this, they can't afford to be lending money below the interest rate that is prevalent in the industry. Now, if you have double-digit interest rates that are also high, how does that make sense for the average Nigerian? Even though you are solving, yes, you are providing him relief, but does that make sense for the average Nigerian? So if you're in a country where most people are making less than 500k in a year, I know that there are people who make less than 500k, but when I saw that, there are also households who make less than 200k, not individuals. Households making less than 200k. That means, I don't know, it's insane. But how do you solve problems for people like that? So I just wonder, as good as these solutions are, they are not innovative if we are being honest. As good as they are, do they really solve it? So I went to look at AutoCheck's numbers. $10 billion worth of loans given out. But how many people? They said 1,000 plus. So initially I was doing some calculations with income where saying, okay, maybe the average car, including the financing, is around 4 million naira. But when I looked at the 1,000 that they were giving, so our calculation brought it up to like 2.5 cars that they've done. And then we are now looking at 1,000. So how many people? I mean, yes, a car is not, you don't need a car. You don't need a car if
you live in Lagos, please go and sell your car.
you don't need a car to survive, but for something like a house, if your interest rate has to be at least at par with what the market is, and then some extra for you to turn a profit.
And they should also
how do you keep up, and how long before you run out of money and run back to your investors?
Yes, and you should also bring to the you should also remember the fact that some people can be bad debtors.
Yeah.
Right? They are only desperate for the time they need that fund, and by the time they get it, paying back can be a hassle.
Well, the good thing about some types of asset financing is I can always come. So if it's a car, well, hopefully there's a car tracker and they can just recover it.
I'm talking about rent.
Yeah, so for rent, they can also, there's the whole issue with Nigeria's laws that makes it difficult for you to just kick out a tenant. Mm-hmm. So you have to fight that. But let's just say you decide to do, and this is not me giving business advice. You take some underhanded means, you default, 1 week after you default, I kick you out. Well, there's still some protection there.
No, I'm talking about this rent small. Now, if they give me money to pay my rent, right? Obviously, I've paid my rent. My landlord is not chasing me out, right? But for you to get your money back. Yeah.
So for you to get your money back now, you have to repay. So the way I'm looking at it is, okay, fine. You can't pay us back. You liaise with your landlord, we kick you out. So I'm also going to be hoping that they are doing, like, there's some form of partnership between them and the landlord where they are paying directly to the landlord.
And not to you.
Yes.
Before you go and lend money for another thing instead of your rent.
Yeah, very true.
In
very
a way
true.
that if you default on your loan, fine, you've defaulted, leave the house. Someone else can pay us what you are supposed to pay. And maybe if you're supposed to pay us pay back 100K, and we can recover maybe 85K. I guess we can take 15K on the
off. It's a high risk market, but
Yep. Yeah. And so when they're talking about solving the housing problem, I guess they are talking about they have money.
Yeah.
So because even the people that have money, they still have housing problems because they go to house. People that have 100 million to spend, they say, I want to buy a house. Even if you have 100 million to spend in this Lagos, the kind of houses you'll be seeing, and they will tell you it's 100 million. 100 million.
And get a place to park your car.
So you're better off using that money, a portion of it, rent a hotel suite in a maybe 4-star hotel for an entire year.
Yeah, after that year, they will not tell you to bring another 100 million.
Of course.
No, like, you just live in the hotel.
And are you not paying rent? Are you buying it? The asset you're talking about for 100 million. Are you buying it already?
You're buying it now. You're buying it.
Instead of buying it.
No, it's not like when you own something. No, it's not like when you own something now. When you own something, it's your own. You can
that's sentimental value.
Yeah, that's sentimental value.
Well,
your children can come home and say, "Oh, I'm going to my father's house. I'm going to meet daddy and mommy." That kind of thing. That's sentimental value that owning your own house gives you. Yeah. You can own a dog. You can train any farm animal you want to train. You can plant anything you want to plant in the house. Sorry. Yes.
You have an idea. Nice. You already have an idea of Emmanuel's dream future.
Don't worry. Just
it.
Because getting that kind of place in Lagos, you can't even afford yourself a garden.
Go to Igondo.
Please let's close this conversation.
Okay.
Let's close this conversation.
All right, let's read the comments from this is TikTok, right? The first comment. Yes, so from Saint Omari. He said they are reducing our purchasing power. Guess we all know what's going on. This is for which story? Is it the CBN story? So guess we all know what. Me, I don't know. Please come and tell us what's going on. No. See, we all know what's going on. Do you know what's? Now you carry the story. Come.
It's not me that said anything. I don't know what Chief Alpha, tell us what you are saying.
So, Saint, please tell us what is really going on. We'll need, in fact, when you tell us, we'll come back next week and read this in front of everybody to actually know what's going on. Yes. From Instagram, we have Yems Sweet Dev. This is a good idea because all is multi-international can easily weaponize their position against our economy. Oh, okay. So last week we said the CBN wants to launch a domestic card. So the card schemes you see from MasterCard, Visa, and Verve, CBN wants to create their own. And this guy is saying this is a good idea because those multinationals like MasterCard and Visa, I hope I'm getting what you're saying right, but multinationals like MasterCard and Visa can weaponize their position against our economy. So imagine if MasterCard and Visa off the lights on Nigeria's head.
It's not today that we've been indebted to global companies. Let's move on.
Yeah, we're indebted to a lot of global companies. If Google crashes today, only God knows what will happen to a lot of businesses.
So
if some people's careers will just go like that. If Figma crashes today, designers, I love you guys. So yeah. Yo, look, this will go the way of Naira. Probably same company which says
a lot.
If you know, you know. He is not going out on a high. He's taking a heck. He's taking a heck of a lot out on a high. And last I checked, Verve is a domestic card. So if Verve is already a domestic card, good point. Naira. I still don't see the use case for Naira. I am sorry. Bolu, I'm sorry. I don't see the use case for Naira.
I think the Verve, if Verve is supported, it took MasterCard and Visa to get where they are today, right? To get the dominance they got, dominance. Right? Verve is like InterSwitch baby, right? If the government can support it and probably incorporate with it, it will make this, because this card will just be like, I don't know, the implementation precedence of government, of the Nigerian government has not been proud. It has not been noteworthy. You get, so we tend not to expect much from this. But when there's already an existing framework that you plug into, right? And private companies tend to do better than public government.
Why are you reducing your voice when you are saying say it with your
initiatives, right? So with Verve, right, it will be easy for there to be a collaboration and for it to get more coverage.
Everything it sounds nice on paper. Everything sounds good on paper, but I don't know how the CBN plans to implement this. Of course, they could force people to adopt it, but why do something new? Why reinvent the wheel when you can build on existing networks and existing? I mean, there are a lot of startups that want to actually do stuff like this. Why Verve is just come on. You know what? Thank you everyone.
I think we should just go and drink water on the word. Why build a new wheel? Why reinvent a new wheel when you can just walk to the wheel?
You should have a different conversation on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, a lot of Nigerian startups that decide that, these people are not doing what I want. Let me go and build my own from scratch. Come on, why are you stressing yourself? Just talk. Let's have conversations. Just find partnerships. MTN, for instance, does not have a license to offer insurance. What did they do? They partnered with a company that has an insurance license, one of the biggest in Africa, Sanlam. And guess what? With 188,000 agents all over the country, that partnership can help them offer insurance services.
What about the one with Integra?
Integra. Buy now, pay later for 5G smartphones. MTN could have easily said, let me go and build an insurance company. You can say, let me go and build my own buy now, pay later startup. There are so many things that we don't need to actually go and build from scratch. You can just collaborate. Yes, and collaborate. Growing with strategic partnerships. You should watch out for that conversations and the FitTech Summit 2022. That was your cue to actually say, yeah.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Already done.
Right.
Okay, guys. So this has been fun. This has been interesting, and I love the comments I'm saying so far. So we can't take all of the comments. We just take a few. And please, we appreciate your feedback, and we apologize for the terrible sound that you've been hearing over the past few weeks. It wasn't terrible, please. It's just not great.
It's actually terrible. It's not good. We acknowledge that, and
It's just
we've
not
been
great.
working on it.
Yeah, we're working on
Definitely.
it, and I hope it's better this week. And if it's not, we'll still keep working to make it better and better. We're doing this on the fly, as well as doing other things too. I mean, need to. Yeah, but let's just bear with us, and we love you guys. And of course, podcast people, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, anywhere you are hearing us from, please like, subscribe, share to your friends, well-wishers, and enemies. Then YouTube, Instagram, YouTubers, please subscribe, like, share.
And
Thank
click
you.
on the notification bell
Click
so
on
you
the
get
notification
notified
bell.
anytime we release a new video. To do.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.